Hello everyone and welcome to a new video from your Overwatch. I'm Eddie the Chump and today I'm going to be moodily comparing and contrasting two damage heroes as they stand in the current balance patch of the game. They are firstly McCree and secondly Hanzo. The reason we're doing this is because one has completely stolen the other's thunder and I'm not happy about it. I'm going to make the case that my boy McCree needs all sorts of mad buffs, Jeff, because you seem to have given all his best toys to another hero, only shinier and newer versions. Now, as a fanboy, I might not be the most rational and reasonable person to talk about this, but at least it'll be fun, so strap yourselves in. The forecast for today is stormy with a chance of sodium. To start us off, I'll just say we all know the new Hanzo is incredibly strong right now for a number of reasons. Despite McCree being hit scan and Hanzo being projectile, they have come to occupy the same space as far as their application in-game goes. They're both mid-range damage dealers, and with the latest improvements to his kit, Hanzo is the clear choice for a lot of players. Now, as much as it pains me to do so, I'm going to outline exactly why that is, and it has a lot to do with Hanzo basically getting better versions of all of McCree's stuff bar his stun. And seeing as we're not exactly short of stuns in the game at the moment, if you know what I mean, I feel you Rhine mains, I really do, Hanzo seems just fine without it. Let's start the comparisons of Doom off with their main weapons, Peacekeeper versus Stormbow, and how reliability used to separate these two heroes, but now doesn't. McCree is a hit scan, we all know this, but one with more than a few drawbacks, which we also know. His range, for a start, is vastly inferior to Hanzo's. The latter can insta-kill a squishy at any range at full charge. McCree at far ranges might as well be waving hello at targets. Side note, a byproduct of this is their comparative matchup against Pharah. Now, you might think that traditionally McCree would be a better answer, however with Hanzo's new projectile speed, in skilled players' hands, he's arguably a better option. That's very vexing indeed. At close range, Hanzo's projectile might as well be hit scan, so McCree doesn't have as much of an advantage as you might think in that context. But it's not just a range issue. Hanzo also doesn't have to reload in the traditional sense like McCree has to. True, he is in some ways a bolt action, but he has an endless quiver of arrows seemingly refreshed purely by the power of memes. McCree is not so lucky. 6 bullets is not that many, especially as each bullet cannot do as much burst in the first place. True, McCree's rate of fire is higher, but that pesky reload can often lead to targets evading or getting healed. McCree is a very hard hero to play, being under consistent performance pressure to hit successive shots. Hanzo needs but one opportunity to delete you. Peek him unwisely once for a split second, and that can be all she wrote. Hanzo's new weapon reliability means he can do McCree's strictly mid-range job and can extend his lethality much further. He can do what McCree can, and more. It seems a little bit unfair, doesn't it? I wonder. Let's move on from reliability for a moment and talk about dueling potential. And to talk about that, we need to cover Scatter's replacement, Storm Arrow. I don't know if you've noticed, but it's pretty damn good as a dueling tool. Now, McCree's stun can win a duel outright, this is true. But because it's so all or nothing, players have gotten much better at outplaying it. Storm Arrow offers Hanzo much more control in a duel. He can pick and choose his shots or unload them all at close range to kill, say, a flanker DPS quite easily. McCree doesn't have that dexterity. Hit a stun, then headshots, or die. Hanzo also used to be quite slow while aiming, but when using Storm Arrow, he moves at full speed, so him and McCree are on much more even ground in that sense too. If we're being honest, a duel is not the only place you'd use Storm Arrow. Let's just call it for what it is, a much better version of Fan the Hammer, or Fan the Quiver, I guess. Useful in shield break wars, as well as what we've already covered, it is just better. Now, Eddie, Storm Arrow's on a cooldown, Fan the Hammer isn't, true. But I'd take a 6-second cooldown to actually be able to aim the damn thing and get critical hits, wouldn't you? I'll even meet you halfway. Because it's hit scan and not projectile, make it have a longer cooldown, like 8 seconds. Sound fair? Good. I'm glad we all agree. Now let's move on to their comparative mobility options. McCree's role at this point doesn't even count. It's short, ground-based, and on a long cooldown for what it does. Hanzo can run up walls and get to places McCree can't, which is useful for offense and evasion, plus he gets his new lunge, which makes McCree's role look a bit pathetic. McCree's role does reload his weapon, okay fine, but imagine being a hero that needed to reload in the first place. How very 2016 of you, Jesse. Get with the times, fam. Hanzo can wall climb, then lunge, and then shoot you in the face before you could possibly react. McCree can roll a bit. Great. This mobility disparity also makes McCree way more vulnerable than the new Hanzo, and as such, in much more need of babysitting. With all the new toys Hanzo has got, it feels like he's just free to do whatever he wants, whenever he wants, as long as you have the mechanics to pull it off. McCree requires mechanics too, but he's trapped inside a box because he can't move very far or very quickly, and his weapon gives up on him when he's outside the very strict range restrictions. Sure, you can get kills, McCree, but only in this very specific context or there'll be trouble. Yeah, thanks, Jeff. Oh, and one more thing. Can we talk about their ultimates and their place in the current game for a moment? McCree's is basically a suicide button, and Hanzo's is one half of the best combo in the game. Dragon Grav is one of the only answers to Brigitte's rally armor, which I don't know if you've noticed is quite good and everywhere at the moment. Hanzo's ult is nearly guaranteed kills, McCree's is nearly guaranteed death. There's something wrong with this picture. Now, despite the almost unending salt flow up to this point, I actually really like the new Hanzo. I certainly wouldn't nerf him. I think it's incredibly cool that a skill hero is this strong, just like I support how good Widow is. I just wish McCree was shown a bit more love. As far as I see it, this leaves us with only two options. Leave McCree how he is and just accept that it's pretty difficult actually to make two similarly ranged DPS equally as viable at the same time, or make small changes to render the choice between them harder. One thing I thought you could do with McCree, which would make his place in the Brigitte meta more sustainable, is to make his Peacekeeper have armor-piercing rounds as standard. And what I mean by that is, McCree's damage could ignore armor. Not the total pool of health and armor, just the damage resistance of the armor portion. So for example, Ryan would have just 500 HP to a McCree, not the 300 health and 200 armor as he would have for everyone else. This would give him a specific use against big tanky lineups who receive armor bonuses from Brigitte's ult and packs. It'd make him better against tanks in general, but not in a totally unfair way like Old Fan the Hammer. You'd still have to hit all your shots, but he'd have an edge that nobody else did, giving him unique utility. Or, and this is more controversial, you make his reload a lot quicker or remove it entirely. Now, if you did do that, Fan the Hammer would need a cooldown put on it even if you left it as it is, just so it wouldn't get out of hand. But in reality, I don't think that's hard to do. One of the biggest challenges to McCree is hitting the shots you need to hit all at the right time. If you hit a crispy headshot at the end of your clip, you might not even get a follow-up opportunity. It wouldn't make much logical sense for a revolver to never need to reload, but Hanzo has infinite arrows, so I don't want to hear any of it. Where do they even come from? Oh yeah, Magic Quiver of Destiny, I forgot. You could do it the other way round and require Hanzo to have an ammo capacity of some sort, kind of like Zen does. But as I said, I'm more in favour of keeping Hanzo strong and just bringing McCree up a little bit. Now remember, these are just ideas, and I don't mean for you to read this as Blizzard should give McCree all of the buffs I suggested. Just something. Even just a roll reset on a limb. McCree needs something other than an ever-decreasing pick rate. Please, Jeff, please send help. Let me know who you think is the stronger of the two in the comments below. I'd actually be really interested to hear what you guys think. I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please don't forget to leave a rating. If you never want to miss another video of ours again, please click the bell icon next to the subscribe button on our channel to join the notification squad. You'll be in great company. And finally, please follow the Your Overwatch Twitter. It's where you can find updates about new videos and other cool stuff. I've been Eddie the Chump, and until next time.